The Love, Life, and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. If you know what to do, but can't figure out why you're just not doing it, this is the right podcast for you. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach, Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to think and eat like a normal eater, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 59. This is called emotional time blocking. This is a strategy I'm going to share with you that I use with many of my clients. When we do troubleshooting in weight loss, when there's issues around overeating because we're upset or tired or overwhelmed, right? These are common. Um, a lot of times it has to do with like the cadence of our days. And a strategy that can really help you is to think intentionally about the day ahead in a strategic way and in an offensive way rather than a defensive way. So, like, for example, when you think about your days, like, let's say you plan your day. What most of us have a concept of what that means is we look at our calendars and then we kind of tell ourselves what we expect of ourselves in terms of production, what we should do, what we shouldn't do in the time that we have. Um, that way of thinking is, yes, of course, it's necessary to identify the output that you would like to have from yourself. But there's other considerations that can really help go a long way to being able to set yourself up for success with this. So, we're going to use visualization and identifying how you want to feel in the segments of your day in order for you to kind of time block your day more effectively. Um, it's not enough to just say, I need to work out and today is my cardio day without also taking into account holistically your own energy reserves, how you feel that day. If you're sore from the day before, what kind of day will you have already had by the time you meet your workout time? Are you setting yourself up for success? Things like this. So, this is called emotional time blocking. It's an idea that I originally got from Esther Hicks. If any of you have followed like manifestation type stuff, you may have run into Abraham Hicks and her work on this. She calls it segment intending. Um, I like my word better, my phrase, which is emotional time blocking, because it matches how you want to feel on purpose in the time blocking of your day. So it's actually really simple. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I would just say, like, why is this important and how can this be useful for you? Well, if you are noticing that with your goals around your weight, that there's certain days that kind of hose you, where like your expectations maybe of like the kinds of things that you put down on your planning for your food, when you don't when you notice that you don't consistently eat the food that you put down, it requires a more holistic approach to your time blocking and what you ask yourself to do. So, time blocking our days cannot just be, I expect myself to do X, Y, and Z without also setting yourself up emotionally to make doing the things that you're asking yourself to do feel easy. So, like, put yourself in my shoes as a coach, right? When I think about my coaching hours, when I'm meeting individually with my clients, when I do this for myself, oftentimes when I ask myself the question, and this is what you'll have to ask yourself for this time of my day, how do I want to feel? And that desired feeling should make doing the things that you're expecting yourself to do feel easier, like almost like seamless. So when I think about being in the space with my client, how I personally want to feel in my own self is receptive, maybe interested, maybe like energetic as well. Like I have lots of receptivity and energy reserves to be present with my client, right? Like what a winning combination that is. Rather than just say like be an awesome coach for, the morning segment of 4 clients I meet with on a Tuesday. Instead, we're saying like, okay, for my morning segment of coaching on Tuesday, today, how do I want to feel? And like this morning for me, it was receptive. So that receptive for me kind of indicates that I have energy, I have curiosity, and I have capacity to really be in the headspace with my client, giving them all that I have to give as a coach. And so when I do emotional blocking for the days that I coach, I often will identify receptivity as my core desired emotion for that segment of my day. And that's how you do emotional time blocking. So I would say, like, you could just do this generally and you could try like adding it into your daily planning on a daily basis. But I think one way, especially effective way for you to feel the power of doing this is to start doing it during the segments of particular days where you feel as though you tend to get hung up or thrown off track, or you're not getting the results, or you're not doing the actions or performing the results that you expect of yourself. So we're going into troubleshooting and we're applying emotional time blocking to see if we can get slightly better results. Okay. So I oftentimes will come upon this and give this as strategy for my clients when we see that like Fridays, let's say my client has a morning full of meetings and then let's say it's a whole day full of meetings on Fridays. And then she expects herself to go and do like a 3 or 5 mile run. But she never does the run because, and when we dig into this negative troubleshooting, we figure out that she is intellectually, mentally exhausted. And that feeling of where she winds up on Fridays after a whole day full of meetings isn't aligned with asking herself to do a 5 mile run because of how she's thinking about the run. You see, when she's feeling like mentally exhausted from meet back to back to back to back meetings, her automatic thinking about the performative aspect, go run 3 to 5 miles on Friday, is a lot of hard thinking, like it's one more thing that she doesn't want to do. So just because she thinks that way doesn't mean that we can't kind of hack into the system and like play with some of the variables to see if she can get a better result. So this is why emotional time blocking can really help you. So taking my client as an example, we could fiddle with the circumstances of her meetings on Friday. Like, does she want to have Fridays be an all day meetings day if she has any control over it? Let's say she doesn't have control over it. Well, can she leave a meeting 5 minutes before the end of the meeting so that she isn't going back to back to back to back without any breaks, which can be, more than a human being can kind of regulate through, right? We have to have breaks. We have to find a way to make the system anti fragile and create a sustainable pace of meetings. And if it isn't sustainable, then that is like a foundational or like infrastructure issue with her at work. And I would encourage her to talk to her boss about it. Right. Okay. So maybe asking herself to run on a Friday, like she could do some emotional time blocking and take some breaks before the end of her meetings, but it still might just be the wrong time of day and day to ask herself to run. So I would say, well, is asking yourself to run on a Friday after work really the best time to ask yourself to do that? And you can shift some things around. So you can see, like, when you ask yourself, how do I want to feel at this segment of my day before I run? Like, think about it. Let's just say you're a runner and you want to run 3 to 5 miles because it's important to you. Just pretend if you're not a runner. You would probably want to feel like, to make running feel seamless, you might want to feel like it's what you've been waiting for. So maybe a feeling of positive anticipation. And you would want to feel like it was a break, maybe from what you typically do. It's like your chance to like check out. You would probably want to feel energetic as well, emotionally and physically energetic. So you'd want to align when you ask yourself to run with the natural cadence of your days and try to slot it in places and times that, make sense. And then once you've done that, like kind of infrastructure work, then we can ask yourself, let's say the core desired emotion is just energetic. Okay. So step one is to identify, for the segment of this day, how do I want to feel? So write down one word that describes the emotion that, if you could feel that way, would make being in this segment of your day feel fantastic. Okay. Then step two is to ask yourself, like, what would I need to be thinking in order to feel energetic? So we may not have a lot of control over physically energetic, right? And this is why I say make sure you're asking yourself to run at a time of day and a day where you have physical energy reserves, right? But let's say it's like emotionally energetic, like you are not opposed emotionally to going out and doing this run. So you would want to ask yourself, well, what would I need to be thinking to feel emotionally energetic about this? So you would want to positively build up looking forward to taking this run, like almost like a reward. I know people who do this with the gym all the time. For those of us who aren't runners, that might seem funny to say, but we know that, like, people who love going to the gym, they build it up in their minds because they love how visualizing themselves going to the gym and having done the work that's required to lift weights or take classes or whatever they're doing at the gym, how they see themselves having done that. So you can do the same thing with taking the run. Okay. So this is emotional time blocking, identifying, in this time in my day, how do I want to feel? What would I need to be thinking? You could think, like I always say, try to come up with at least one thought you can think that helps you feel the way that you want to feel. So for the run, to feel emotionally energetic, it might be uh, a thought like, I wait all week for my Friday run, which is my transition into the weekend and feeling free from work, right? That's what a great thought that is. So if you could practice thinking that, like, I can't wait for like 5 o'clock on Friday when I put my sneakers on and I run away from all of my work obligations and I leave it all behind me for the weekend until when Monday comes around again. So, framing your experience like this in terms of not only like in this segment, what I expect myself to do, but like, how can I identify how I want to feel on purpose about this? Um, for many of my clients, and I'll give you this other example. A lot of overeating that surrounds our habits around food happens after dinner. And what we tend to do is just ask ourselves to not eat, like no snacking after dinner. But we're not asking ourselves, well, if I'm going to ask myself to not snack after dinner, how would I need to feel in order for that to feel easier? So for me, like when I think about my after dinner snacking that I used to do, I think when I first did the work, I would want to feel like determined because it was just a habit of eating. It wasn't really emotional anymore for me. For a lot of my clients, it is emotional. Like after dinner eating is about relaxation, or like it's about relaxation mostly. Mostly all of my clients who emotionally overeat after dinner, it's about relaxation, permission to relax. So you want to ask yourself, okay, well, I know I don't need food sliding down my throat, especially if I'm not hungry for it, to feel relaxed. So that's your core desired emotion for after dinner is like, I need to set myself up to think in ways that help me feel relaxed. And I can do things or not do things that help me feel relaxed. One example of not doing things would be like not checking work emails after dinner that get you like engaged in stressful thinking about work, right? That will set you up to not feel relaxed. And then your brain will probably send up an urge, well, let's have some popcorn and then we'll relax. Um, Sometimes I have clients who sometimes work late and sometimes it's unexpected, right? With the nature of the business that they have, sometimes they have to work late. Well, they know on a day that they work late, like let's say it's the morning and she knows she has to work late. We've done this work together. And that is like, okay, on a day when you know you're working late, you know you're going to be feeling emotionally tired and your desire is going to be to relax. So if you've got to have a plan for how to create relaxation for yourself without thinking you need to eat to do that. So that's going to be like having a ritual for like, when is the cutoff time for when you leave work? Let your brain know this has an end. And then maybe on the commute home, listening to some relaxing music, maybe singing out loud. I don't know. You could do some audio journaling, even. I have clients who take their notes app out on their phone and they just on their drive home they do audio journaling and they just do like a thought download of all of their thoughts and feelings about that day of work. And then once they get that out, then they can start talking about like, this is going to be great. I'm so glad that this long day is done. I'm really looking forward to having my dinner. If I want to leave room for dessert so I don't overeat, that's what I'm going to do. And then after dinner, this is my plan. I'm going to get into comfy clothes. I'm going to take out, I don't know, my embroidery or my crocheting, or I'm going to put on that favorite show that we're watching. I'm watching The Serpent Queen right now on Stars. It's so good. And that's going to be my relaxation ritual. And I do not want to overeat tonight in order to feel relaxed. This is my plan to be relaxed. And it is emotional time blocking because I've identified that my core desired emotion is relaxation, right? That's very different from having a habit of working late, feeling like shit, realizing that your nervous system is still really high, engaged, stressed. And then you're looking to like meet your need in the easiest way possible because you're so tired, which usually means eating or having a glass of wine or something like that. And that's not intentional, right? That's not working for you. So, this is a great opportunity, things like this, for how to use emotional time blocking. So, to summarize, use emotional time blocking to help you have an offensive strategy for those days uh, and times that you've noticed are associated with challenges or not getting good results. Okay. So, what you'll do is identify the time segment in which you're getting negative results. Work ahead of that and ask yourself, by the time I get to this segment, how do I want to feel? So in the case of my client who worked late, right? She might have to work even into the time when she's still at work working late. So she's not getting maybe too stressed out, right? That she has an eye on her nervous system. Like she is delegating things or like just making a list for what needs to get done the next day before she leaves her desk so that she doesn't bring that home in her head. She knows that the order of priority of things for the next day is there waiting for her, and she can just kind of turn off when she leaves the office. And that way, going into the next segment of her day, which is evening segment, and she knows that she wants to keep relaxation as her priority. And then her brain will get to work on what do I need to think and do in order to help myself edge into relaxation without thinking I need to eat in order to do that. And for those of you who really are like, no, Heather, like why? Of course, eating makes you feel relaxed. I mean, that's not what's happening. You just have an association of thinking that food sliding down your throat makes you feel relaxed. Like I used to think the same thing about having Sauvignon Blanc, that I would relax when I had neurotoxin sliding down my throat. But neurotoxin sliding down my throat does not create emotional relaxation. You see, it's just a habit of association. And we want to break those negative habits of association if we want to change our habits around food. So, identifying the core need underneath the desire or the want that's being problematic is how you use emotional time blocking. So, a good way to kind of hack the system here, if you're working with your challenges, is to say, ask yourself, well, I don't know how I want, so you're in this place of like, I don't know how I want to feel. I just know I'm eating after dinner. Okay. So here's my trick for this, because you need to know what the emotion is that you're looking for in the segment that's giving you trouble in your days, right? So go back to a memory of the last time you were eating over in this segment of your days. Go back in your mind's eye, like play it out in detail, like a scene from a movie. I want you to see yourself. For most of us, it will be probably emotionally overeating. And now I want you to pretend that your coach is there. I'm there with you. And whatever you're eating, I'm just going to like be like, hi, I'm just going to take this from you now. And I'm doing it very kindly and gently. Here's the question: what am I taking away from you? The answer to that question is the emotion that you're looking for in that segment of your day. Okay. What am I taking away if I'm taking away the food or whatever buffering you're doing in that segment of your day? That's the emotion that you're looking for. Your job with emotional time blocking is to figure out an intentional plan for that segment of your day to feel the way that you want to feel so that you can truly meet your need underneath the wants that are happening when you aren't paying attention to how you want to feel. Okay. I hope that helps. If you have any questions on emotional time blocking, go over to Instagram. You can find me at Thrive in Midlife is my handle. And, tell me if you have any questions, what those are, and we can have a conversation about it. You can also DM me if you want, if you don't want to have that conversation in the comments. If you want to get on the list to learn how to work with me, all you have to do is comment on any of my Instagram posts with the word subscribe. And I have like a technology that will just give you the link to join my email list. And in that first email, I give you the information for how to learn how to work with me if you're interested. Okay. So I hope emotional time blocking is helpful. I suggest you try it. And it doesn't even have to be applied to problem areas. It's just like you could ask yourself, well, am I feeling as good as I want to feel? Like, where could I feel even better at certain days or times or time periods in my life where I could like feel even better? So you could use it as a way to level up even with your experience of your life. And just remember that like how we feel is the reason why we're after anything that we say we want in our life. Any goal that you want or have ever wanted in your life is not really to get the thing that you think you want. It's really to help you feel the way that you want to feel. We're always really after feeling a certain way. Those top 7 emotions, the highest of which is joy and freedom, are really the highest motivators of our human experience. And what I want for you all is to experience those desired emotions, even acceptance in the hardest parts of life can be a gift, right? To like truly accept what's happening in your life for the truth of what it is can also be a gift rather than resistance or negative reaction to what's happening in your life. Okay, so I'll see you over on Instagram. Stay focused and so long. Hey, if this episode resonated for you, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe and get on the list. You'll get a free gift, periodic coaching, plus advance notice of in-person events and workshops.